So, very good morning to all. Welcome all to the session 2 of 5 days faculty development program on advances in highway technology and traffic systems organized by Department of Civil Engineering, Ramaiah Institute of Technology, Bangalore. For next session, our speaker is Mr. Niranjan GH. He is our own faculty. He is an assistant professor in Department of Civil Engineering. He has done Bachelor of Engineering in Civil from our college and MTech from Volvo Research Center called Rasta, Bangalore. He was a senior research fellow in the Department of Civil Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, wherein he has closely associated and worked with Central Road Research Institute, New Delhi. Currently, he is pursuing his PhD on driver behavior and accident proneness under mixed traffic flow conditions. His topics of interest is with traffic engineering, mainly driver behavior, accident studies, black spot studies, road and highway safety, driver training techniques, and driver testing. He has published various papers in reputed journals and conferences. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, for the session 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivek sir. Yeah. So today's, are you able to hear me? Yes. Okay. Today's topic which I have chosen to speak about, it's known as defensive driving. It's also known as driver attention and defensive driving. Why I have chosen this topic for today's program is, the title of the program is like Advancement in Highway Technology and Transportation Systems. So the technique of defensive driving or driver attention and defensive driving were goals for education. These were the entities which were not thought about in the Indian traffic conditions or driving scenario. It's well established in some of the European countries as well as in the US. So any kind of advancements in this line would work out to be like producing safe and efficient drivers on the road. So with this introduction as to why I'm giving this presentation, I would like to go ahead with my topics. Before getting into the topics, I would just like to brush up with the basic definitions of certain things in driving. We all know driving, we drive on the road, we know what is the meaning of safety, we know what is a vehicle, but let us chalk out some of the definitions of these words so that I can connect or I can link these things to defensive driving. See, what we know about driving. Driving, the definition is like the control and motion of the motor vehicle, correct? There's a vehicle and the control of and motion of the vehicle. It's not only motion, it's controlling the vehicle. Okay. Safe or a safety, it is the protection or something protected from or not exposed to danger or risk, not likely to be harmed or lost. Correct. We should be unharmed. We should not harm someone. Correct. In other words, I can put it like cautious or unenterprising. We are not poking in someone's business. So what's the meaning of vehicle here? This is an object or something which is used for transporting people or goods, especially land. So today's discussion is largely limited to cars only. Why I have chosen the car as the main entity for today's topic is we can get connected well with this. See, we are not used to drive trucks, Many of us would have driven cars and also would have been in cars. So that is the reason we have chosen the car as a vehicle around which we would be discussing some things. So what is an accident? Accident defines itself as an unfortunate incident, correct? Unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly and unintentionally, correct? Typically resulting in damage or injury. Okay. There are good accidents also, but majority of the accidents are bad. So it's an event that happens by chance or that is without apparent or deliberate cause. So these are some of the definitions which I'm trying to brief you as a foundation for our topic. Humans, we all know, we all are similar, anatomically similar. We all are related. Okay? We have highly developed brains. We have thinking capacity. Correct? We have articulate speech and some kind of abstract reasoning. That means we have thinking capacity. Humans. We'll go to psychology. This is defined as the mental characteristics or attitude of a person or when in a group. Psychology can be related with groups. Psychology can also be related with a single individual or single entity. So let's come to the definition of drivers with all these basic definitions. So drivers comprise of any human being who is driving. So human beings are anatomically similar and related with each other. They have great or highly developed brains, thinking capacity, resultant capacity, correct? Great abstract for reasoning, correct? In combination, when they try to control and move something, then they are called drivers. You have to be very precise about this definition. There is the link for the topic. I'm going ahead. So what is the meaning of safe driver? We understood safe, we understood vehicle, we understood drive, we understood driver. So what is a safe driver? Any driver who is protected from, or a driver who is not exposed to danger or risk, not likely to be harmed or lost, who is cautious, correct? With his highly developed brain, with a resultant capacity, correct? With speech, abstract reasoning, is termed as a safe driver. We have a road. So what is a road? It's a wide leading way or a path from one place to another, especially with a prepared surface. If it is unprepared, probably we do not call it as a road. Awareness, what we mean, the knowledge or perception of a situation. We know something, we are aware of that, or the fact or concern, or well-informed interest in a particular situation or development. We are aware of certain things happening around us. Attention or attentive. This is paying close attention or concentration or assiduously attending, assiduously caring, very caringly attending to the comfort or wishes of others, very polite and courteous. Okay. With this definition, I want to put across a question. Are we really aware of the facts with respect to roads and the situations created on the roads? I don't think we are aware, and the absolute answer would be unknown. So what is a safe driver then? What is the solution ahead? A driver is expected to safely control his vehicle, right, with proper attention, awareness on the road surface, so that he can be called as a safe driver. To be called as a safe driver, he has to defend himself. Defend. Now, what is the meaning of defend? Defend is resistance to an attack, resistance to something or someone, or protect something or someone from harms or danger. That is called defense. All this means that the driver has to be defensive. He must resist an attack made on himself, his vehicle. He should protect from any kind of harm or danger or defend or protect his vehicle from other vehicles. So with this, I enter something called defensive driving. So what is the defensive driving here? Defensive driving describes the practice of anticipating any kind of dangerous situations, anticipate, to foresee, to forethink something dangerous is going to happen on the road, despite the adverse conditions or the mistakes of others. So I would like to quote what Professor M.N. Srihari in his talk said yesterday. Accidents do not happen, they are caused. Yes, I would like to give him 10 on 10 for his comment. So what is that? Accidents, the definition of accident for a layman is different. The definition of accident for a transportation or a traffic engineer or a professional is completely different. For us, there should not be any accidents. For us, accidents are caused. And can we avoid those causes? Yes, we can avoid those causes. So there are certain basic principles which would take or which would make a driver safe. We all know a driver needs knowledge. Yes, what is knowledge? Educate themselves about safe driving techniques. Yes, we all know when we get a car, when we get a bike, or when we get any kind of vehicle, we educate ourselves how to start, how to sit, the body features of the vehicle, about the safe driving techniques. Then a driver should be alert. Yes, alert towards the traffic conditions, physically, mentally. Are we alert? Yes, somewhat we are alert. Driver should have foresight. Yes, anticipate the hazards by scanning the road and the traffic conditions. A driver should have judgment to use his common sense and knowledge to make decisions wisely and quickly. Skills, develop skills to operate vehicle properly and safely. So the most important aspect here would be a sense of consciousness, which can be famously termed as basic common sense, the thinking ability, not to harm, not to get harmed. So do we lack the ability of defensive driving? I'm not talking only about the Indian conditions. This is a condition worldwide. Wherever a human being is driving a vehicle, yes, we do lack the ability of defensive driving. Why do we lack the common sense? Does the choice really matter? Yes, of course. So let's start off with our sweet choices, from colors to design, from beginning till the end, from driving to parking, from switching on to switching off. Let us first give you a preview of what a vehicle is. I'm here in this presentation. When I talk about a vehicle, I'm talking only about cars. I'm only limited to cars so that we are all connecting well with each other with that vehicle. So choice of vehicle, does it really matter? Yes, it matters to us. See, basic understanding of a vehicle or a car, we have segments in cars, A, B, C, D, E, M, J segments. And we all know A segment vehicles, these are called mini hatchbacks. The smallest cars running on the roads, the Alto, the Datsun Go 800. These are some of the cars which come into the A segment vehicles. Less power, less brake efficiency, small vehicles, not meant for great speeds or great power. Next, we have B segment vehicles. These are termed or branded as small hatchbacks. The Swift, the Baleno, the Altros have some kind of space, better space than the A segment vehicle, but little extended power, good brake efficiency, etc. We have C segment vehicles. These are termed as family cars or sedans, the Desire or the Amaze. These are the small sedans wherein the boot or dicky is really compact. That's the reason they're also called as compact vehicles also, or compact sedans. Then we have D segment vehicles, mid-sized family cars or sedans. You can see the Hyundai Verna, the Honda City come in this segment. We have E segment, luxury cars, the Corolla, Audi A6, BMW 5 Series, all these come in E segment vehicles. Next, we have M segment, which are called multi-utility vehicles. These are basically people movers. The basic function of these vehicles is to move people and carry some kind of goods or luggages, which happen to be with the people. The Innova, the Ertiga are the two famous vehicles in this segment. And the last one, of course, the trending segment of today's generation is the J segment. We have the Scorpio, Fortuner, Endeavour as sports utility vehicles, or famously termed as SUVs. So why did I give you that brief introduction about different segments of cars? When we understand the basics of cars, we understand some problem. When we need to understand some person or some personality, we need to understand his basics, correct? So that is how we connect with the vehicles we drive also. See what matters with the car segments. So you can see in this picture or image or diagram, there's a sedan on top, there's a station wagon in between, and there's a hatchback in the last picture. The alphabets mentioned there, A, B, C, A, B, C, D. These are all the pillars of the vehicles. The first pillar is called the A pillar. Second one is B pillar. Third one is the C pillar. If at all it is an extended vehicle like an Innova or an Ertiga or a station wagon, then it would have the D pillar also. So what is that physical part of the vehicle which is creating problems to the driver? If he understands this with respect to the vehicle, he may be termed as a defensive driver. He may be termed as a defensive driver. So what is that which is hindering his view or maybe comfort in the given vehicle? So if you look into this, the culprit in a car design would be the A pillar. So you can see, I would like to play a small video. Yes. So you can see this is a, I think this is an Altroz, which is driven by a driver. Yeah, you can see the dashboard, correct? So I would just play this video for your reference and I would get back to you. And if possible, I want you to interact in the discussion. You can see a normal driver driving a car on a plain or empty road. You can see the pillars over there. Is there any problem with his driving or something wrong with the vehicle? Is the question. Yes? Yes. So if I pause the video here, there is a surprise for us. The pedestrians crossing the road have been masked behind the A pillar. Now this is a blind spot for a car. A car has two A pillars on the right and on the left, and both are equally dangerous for a driver. So if a driver is aware of this danger while driving, he can be termed as a defensive driver with respect to his vehicle. I would continue with the video. So you can see the two pedestrians can be seen when the car moves a little bit ahead. Yes. You can look at the pillars, the girth of the pillars, the thickness, the obstruction caused by the pillars, correct, for the oncoming vehicles. When you're taking sharp turns, maybe right turn or left turn, the opposite vehicle is totally obstructed by this A pillar. So if we are aware of this part, then yes, I can be termed as a defensive driver. The two-wheeler is completely masked behind the pillar. Yes. Yes. So we do not have an A pillar of this sort yet. Teams are working on that because of the agility and instability caused due to transparent A pillar for the vehicles. Things have not gone so far ahead till now. So this is a drawback with respect to the physicality of the vehicle. If at all we had gone for this transparent or maybe a camera-based or screen-based A pillar, we could have easily located the persons who are at the blind spots outside the purview of our view. Yes. So this is one of the small ideas which I discussed with you regarding the A pillar, wherein the defensiveness of the driver comes into picture. So we would go on taking such examples and we would discuss how better is our driver licensing system in India and what advancements or what all is to be done to see that a driver becomes a safe driver in the near future. So what's on the discussion? See, we have the list, the following list for the discussion. We have colors, we have understanding the vehicle configuration, power, acceleration, braking, expecting the unexpected, speed, and the parking. So what's so big or what's on with the colors? Number one, colors. So with this image, I hope you are able to see this shared screen. This is how a black vehicle looks on a road. The choice of colors matter a lot to us. So as human beings, we have different choices of colors. So the black color is the least visible vehicle during nights and also on the asphalt roads. Asphalt or bitumen or blacktop roads, the black color is least visible. So the drivers or the people or the buyers who go for black colors should keep this in mind. Your vehicle is invisible or not visible to other drivers. You have to be careful, you have to be defensive in this choice. Similar things would happen with the blue color. So this is a blue colored vehicle during night time. If there were no headlights on or if there were no tail lamps on, the vehicle would go completely invisible. This is one of the sense a driver or a person buying a car should have in his mind. This is with respect to the green color, all little visible than the blue and the black. This is with respect to the red color. We have the red as very famously visible color, and so only we have the fire engines and some of the fire extinguishers on the road painted with red. Red is conspicuous on roads during nights and on better lit roads. This is with respect to the silver vehicles. This is with respect to the white vehicles. So why did I show you these images? What was the need to show you? See, the first step of a defensive driver lies in his choice of colors. If you are going for brighter colors, you are already a defensive driver. If you are going for darker colors, you need to make sure, you need to make the other drivers, other road users understand that you are on the road. There's one simple logic here. We cannot expect all the drivers to behave the way we behave. We cannot expect all the drivers to think the way we think. We cannot expect all the drivers to have the same idea as we have. So it's communication between the vehicle and other vehicle. So with colors, I'm trying to communicate that I'm on the road. This is the first, I can say, quality of a defensive driver. Next, we go for understanding the vehicle or the power, acceleration, braking. Here we can observe before we actually go for a vehicle, we need to know the power, the acceleration, the brakes. Urgency and hurry are just the frameworks behind the size and the power of the vehicles. To know when to hurry up is defensive. To know the limits of acceleration is defensive. To know the power, to know the efficiency of brakes is defensive in itself. When we completely understand consciously about the driver as well as the brakes, as well as the vehicle power, acceleration, we can term ourselves as defensive. So before we go for a vehicle, or before we start driving a vehicle, or before we even think of buying a vehicle, we are to think about the power required for our driving. Are we real professionals? Are we office goers? So the purpose of this vehicle, the purpose of the vehicle which will be used, which will be served, or which will be used after I buy, is a matter of concern. The acceleration. Do I need the quick acceleration or the vehicles with very quick acceleration? What kind of braking should my vehicle have? Should it have all disc brakes? Should it have only 2 disc brakes, etc.? All these are some of the questions which should be thought about before we go for any kind of vehicles. See, the general nature of the vehicle when the designers design the vehicle, it's like more power, better brake efficiency would be provided for the vehicles generally. So powerful vehicles are much more reliable in terms of handling. I'm not talking about the durability of the vehicle. I'm talking about handling and reliability. So quick acceleration sounds interesting as well, but it is equally dangerous as the drivers tend to lose control too quickly. So in many cases, most probably you would have heard the driver, instead of applying the brakes, would accelerate the vehicle in fear or out of confusion or out of any other anxiety, and he would have lost control of the vehicle and met with an accident. Quick acceleration is one of the important parameters which has to be kept in mind before we go for a vehicle. Disc brakes, drum brakes, yes. Powerful engines tend to have all 4 disc brakes. Judging the brake efficiency of our vehicles is much more important than driving the vehicle itself. Anybody can drive the vehicle. Anybody can drive the vehicle. Anybody can move the vehicle. Anybody can accelerate the vehicle. But anybody cannot stop the vehicle wherever he wants to stop at his will and wish. So the brake efficiency of the vehicle comes into picture here. The third thing here is expecting the unexpected. This is the most important feature in the spectrum of defensive driving. Even if the road is empty, we have to expect certain things so that if there is some problem, there is some harm, there is some foreign body, we need to stop the vehicle safely without colliding or harming others. So I think I can support this with a video. So this is a highway, most common dashboard look of a highway, Indian highway, wherein, yes. Now, where did this animal come into picture? So this is something called expecting the unexpected. See, when the vehicle was being followed, when we were following the truck, we did not have the sense that that is a blind spot. There could be something beyond the truck, correct? Was our complete psychological absence. So expecting that there may be something behind a given opaque object is defensive in itself. We are very famous for the wrong side driving, especially on the rural roads. So you can see this example here, how an unexpected driver can barge into your roads. We'll get back. We'll go in slow motion for this event. You can see the two jeeps. Correct? It's for a normal driver. For a normal driver, it appears that the two jeeps would yield our vehicle and they will move on the road after we cross the junction, but that did not happen here. We can also see that the driver is busy on his cell phone. So what it means here is, it is difficult to expect someone to behave or think or to act the way we act. The other drivers on the road are not we. And that is where attention, alertness, concentration, and defense of ourselves come into picture. So you can see the pedestrians moving on the road, the two-wheelers barging onto the roads. So these are some of the examples of what we can expect on the roads. This video might be more supportive. So you can see the sheer lack of concentration or consciousness or common sense may lead to such ghastly accidents on the roads. You can see, can anyone tell whose fault it was? The driver of the truck, needless to say, even after hitting the vehicle, could not stop his vehicle, maybe out of fear, maybe out of anxiety. This is a junction in Andhra Pradesh. You can see. So to term it, it is an accident, but it is caused by the mistakes of human beings. And that's the reason we have scientifically changed the name of accidents or road accidents into collisions. Vehicles collide. Yes, I think this video can very, I mean, you can easily make out if the two-wheeler driver was a little bit alert or conscious or maybe concentrating on the vehicle coming from this lane. Correct? If at all he was defensive, also the driver of the car, if at all both of the drivers would have, I mean, if they had seen each other and if they would have been defensive, then this accident would have been averted. So these are some of the examples of collisions at junctions. And sometimes it's beyond our imagination as to how even these collisions actually happen. They could have overtly been prevented. Had this bus noticed the incoming or fast moving Innova, then he would have slowed down. There was a two-wheeler sandwiched between the bus and the truck. It's not about dark, it's not about brightness, it's not about day and night, it's not about experience, inexperience, it's about consciousness. The videos are, I have plenty of videos to show you that the collisions happen because of lack of human conscious than anything else. You can see one more example. Clean, great highway. Nothing is expected, but we expect some nonsense to happen on this road. So with this, I would like to go forward with my presentation. See, defensive driving is all about expecting the unexpected things on the road. This is the main motto. There are 4 principles behind this defensive driving. It's famously known as LLLC. Look ahead, look around, leave the room, communicate with each other. So drive as if the earth is going to crack right before your vehicle. Drive as if an alien drops in front of my car on a deserted road. Drive as if I may need to stop completely the next second. So better preparedness in dealing with unanticipated risks, reduction in fear, enhancement in driving skills, all these things are not worthy to be even spoken about in this presentation. Next is the speed. Yeah. So what would be the ideal speed for a vehicle to be driven on the roads? The exact answer would be like speed which allows me to stop at my will. There is nothing like overspeeding or slow moving vehicles. See, a speed less than the maximum speed at which an operator can take proper and effective action to avoid collision can be termed as a safe speed. and also to stop within certain distance appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions can be termed as safe speed. You can make out from this video how overspeeding would lead to certain unwanted events. This is an Audi which has hit an auto. This incident has happened in the morning. This is a junction wherein a car is hitting a two-wheeler. You can see one more example of complete nonsense driving. Expecting the unexpected. That the Fortuner driver least expected that there would be a vehicle in the wrong way. So if you look at these things, we could very clearly make out the faults of particular drivers because of whom the collisions usually do happen. So this made us to say that road accidents are now not termed as accidents but as collisions. So you can see how the pedestrians pose problems on the roads. Least expected that someone from the median would barge onto the road. You can see things going wrong when people do not follow the traffic discipline here. You can see the mistakes of both the drivers there. One mistake was from the car coming from the opposite direction, and one mistake was of the overspeeding driver of the Xylo vehicle. Yes. Another example of overspeeding, losing control and going off road. Yes. So I think we are coming to end of this presentation. So what speed is usually known or called as dangerous speed? The speed is expressed in numbers only for design purpose. When we are designing the road, we are classifying the road based on speeds: a national highway or an expressway or a state highway, major district road, village road. These are all designed based on the speed. But what is the speed actually? Any speed over and above the controlling capacity of the driving vehicle, as in case of unexpected events, it can be termed as a dangerous speed. So it is physical phenomena for a layman. When we see a vehicle moving on the road, we can say that it is overspeeding or speeding. But for a given driver, he may not be overspeeding. So it's a psychological phenomena for a driver. And if he's able to control the vehicle, he'll be in good terms with the law. So what speed is dangerous speed? More the speed, more to be the thinking capacity of the humans. More speed, more the concentration of the drivers. So accidents are not happen because of speed. Accidents are unexpected events warranting concentration. Similarly, we have something with respect to parking and unparking. You can see this is the most common sight on the road. When people park their vehicle, they tend to get down on the right side of the road. And this is the most common sighting. Either a person or a two-wheeler or a cyclist may get hit to the door of the vehicle. And technically it is known as doored. The man or the road user is known to get doored by the vehicle. How to stop, where to stop is an art in itself. You can see the auto, a person alighting from the auto, and this has caused the problems for the vehicles which are behind the lane. So I think because of time constraint, I'm not able to go with all the slides I have. I would directly come to the three types of distracted driving. We have visual distraction, we have manual distraction, and we have cognitive distraction. Visual distraction is because of taking your eyes off the road. When you do not see something, then it's called as visual distraction. Manual distraction, taking your hands off the wheel, and when the wheel steers onto the right or left, it may cause an accident. Cognitive distraction, it is taking your mind off what you're doing. So with defensive driving, we are more concerned, or we are more specialized, or we are concentrating on the cognitive distraction for the drivers. So in the end, I can just put it this way. It can be achieved by adhering to some general guidelines, such as keeping a 2 or 3 second gap between the driver's vehicle and the vehicle in the front, as you can see here. It's something like social distancing of cars, 2-second rule to be followed. We have a permanent object on the road, and when a vehicle passes that object, we are to see that we pass the same object after 2 seconds. That means there's a 2-second gap is to be followed between two vehicles. So it's a form of training for the drivers that goes beyond the road rules and the basic mechanics of driving techniques. Defensive driving, it also reduces the risk of collisions and improves the road safety. So what am I doing in this program would be the question for most of you. By this technique, if at all it is being, it gets introduced with the RTOs or during the licensing procedures, the defensive driving would make a driver alive. It makes a driver conscious. It makes his presence felt for other road users. It teaches to understand other drivers' views about our vehicles. It also makes us feel that the vehicle we drive are living things too. We need to communicate with them. See, the RTOs are the authority for permitting drivers to drive, and the introduction of something called goals for education. I think it's unheard in India. Goals for education. What is goals for education? See, according to the GD, goals for education, the drivers need to possess knowledge and skills relating to actual driving task or physical and mechanical skills of driving, which is put under the broad heading as level 1. See, we all have this knowledge. We know how to drive. We know the mechanics of the vehicle. We know where is the brake. We know the accelerator pedal. We know the steering. We know about the gears. This is the level 1. We also know how to negotiate through traffic, but more significantly, the skills to self-evaluate the personal risks This starts from level 3 onwards, level 3 and level 4. This is completely unheard in India. So as a transportation engineer, as a traffic engineer, it becomes our duty to somewhere try and get these levels introduced in the licensing procedure so that we can go a step ahead with the traffic systems. So the traditional driver training is more or less restricted to the lower levels of the GD, level 1 and mostly level 2. It doesn't really do much to develop the second and third competencies. So we carry a huge burden and responsibility to ensure that the people we reach out would have skills, awareness, understanding once they are driving unsupervised with no one behind. So when we talk about qualified drivers, the traffic statistics tell us that almost 1 in 5 of the newly qualified drivers, who has procured the license, would be involved in a serious crash within the first year of passing the driving test. So don't we think that there's a problem lingering in this system? It's our duty to address this before the learner takes driving test, shouldn't we? So after extensive research carried out over the last 15 years or so, it's quite compelling that traditional skills and fault-based approaches to driver education do not encourage learning, but a GDE matrix has to be introduced in terms of driver characteristics and behavior. So the mainstay recommendation for this is coaching. The development of personalities, traits, the values, the beliefs, everything should be taught before a person is given license to drive. So without it, the learner driver's sole motivation would be to impress the driving instructor or the inspector in the RTO and get through the driving test. And later on, his true personality would always emerge and he would enter the expressive phase. But if he's made known about his personality and his traits before he is allotted a license, then we are sure to produce good and safe drivers and reduce accidents. So this information on defensive driving and GD is just a tip of the iceberg and not at all possible to deal with all the aspects of driving in a single session. So I think before ending, I would just like to introduce you to these 4 levels of GD, goals for driver education, in the European matrix. The first and second phase happens in India. The physics of driving, knowing your vehicle, handling of the vehicle, qualities of the vehicle, technological devices fitted in the vehicle, control of the vehicle, weakness and strength of the vehicle is usually known to the drivers. The second level, the mastering specific traffic conditions, stop at red light, not getting into one-ways, indication before stopping or indication before turning, observations, signaling, scanning, planning, assessing safety margins, keeping within the rules, to be aware of specific driving conditions, weather conditions. Some of the skills and hazards are known. But the third and fourth, the awareness of each trip, the requirements of each trip, motives of other drivers, goals for the given trip, whether a journey is necessary or not, is the driver driving under pressure, was the journey adequately planned, feelings of the drivers while driving, the life goals of the drivers, the values of the drivers, the style of driving, the peer pressure affecting a person's driving, habits during the driving, the impulsiveness or the spontaneity of the driver. These are some of the entities which which is the need of the hour and is to be introduced to see that we have a collision-free environment in our traffic system. So with this, I would like to conclude that the advancements in driver training programs as well as the licensing procedures and the implementation of the same in the Indian traffic scenario should be implemented as soon as possible for the betterment of traffic systems. I thank you all for your patient listening and hope to meet you soon. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. So now it is open for any questions or discussions. I think one question has come from Mr. Neeraj Singh. The question is, why don't we instill safe driving behavior in our children at schools?
Yes, this should be, this can be done at the basic levels in the school. I just told you, goals for driver education is in the curriculum of school children in the European and European countries and the US since around 10, 15, 20 years. The first seed which was sown for this goals for driver education, or first research happened was in US in the year 1928. And in India, we do not even know the meaning of GDE. For us, the driving is just to move a vehicle and reach our destination. But the driver, who is the main entity, who is in charge of the machine, he steers it, he drives it. Everything is completely dependent on driver. This information is to be inculcated amongst the school children with the introduction of some sort of syllabus change in the schools. Yes, I do agree with you, sir.
One more question, sir has asked. The question is, why buses and auto taxi have any indication special for signifying maneuvering and stopping?
I did not understand the question. Buses and auto taxi have no indication or have indications, sir?
Sir, you can unmute and ask the question. Mr. Neeraj Singh, you can please unmute and ask the question.
Why buses and auto taxi should have an indication, special indication for signifying maneuvering and stopping? They have, sir?
Maybe for what I feel is, if you are taking a turn in intersection, there is any indication special for that. Maybe, I don't know.
No, vehicles have indicators, vehicle have tail lamps. It is up to the drivers driving behind to understand the signs and signals given by the vehicles in the front. So, I answered your question.
One more question is that, so whether this defensive driving varies with age and gender?
Defensive driving varies with age
and gender?
No, it doesn't vary. See, it's inculcating certain kind of thinking in the drivers. So it doesn't vary with age or the type of vehicle you're driving. It's only about the consciousness, it's creating consciousness amongst the driver to see that he doesn't harm anybody and he also doesn't get harmed by anyone on the road. It's only about the consciousness building trait.
Any question is there, you can unmute and ask. Otherwise, you can type in chat box.
Okay, I suppose there are no questions.
Yes.
So I thank one and all for patiently listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation.
Thank you.
So on behalf of our college, I thank once again for your nice presentation.
Thank you so much, Vivek.
Yes. Now to the participants, next presentation will start exactly at 2:30. You can join around 2:15. So next presentation is very interesting. It is with respect to falling weight deflectometer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will break for lunch. Thank you.